So it's Elon Musk versus Donald Trump again, and you may be wondering who wins this fight. Well, I've got a hunch I know who will win. It's going to be Donald Trump, and there's a reason for it. He's got a secret weapon. CNN, of all people, revealed that secret weapon. We're going to show you what that is in just a moment. But first, there's been an escalation. You know that Musk is against the one big, beautiful bill, which, by the way, just moments ago passed the United States Senate. If you're watching our live stream, it's Tuesday, July 1st. It's 12:20 Eastern time, and it has passed the Senate. It was a tiebreaker. 3 Republicans voted against it: Rand Paul, Tom Tillis, and Susan Collins of Maine. But J.D. Vance swooped in and cast that tie-breaking vote. So it's back to the House. We'll see how it passes the House if it does, and we'll see if Donald Trump gets it on his desk by July 4th like he wanted. But the bottom line is your tax cuts are this much closer to reaching fruition. That said, there's a lot of lies going on around this, a lot of misinformation, a lot of misconceptions about what this bill is, what it isn't, and what the so-called cuts are, and what the so-called debt explosions are. There's lies on both sides of the equation, and hopefully we can cut through quite a bit of it. Elon Musk is still very upset about this bill. He thinks that it's a huge debt bill. He thinks that it's a huge spending bill. It's not. It's actually a tax cut bill. And he went after Donald Trump about it. He said that he's going to primary any Republican who voted for it. He said he's going to start a third party. Donald Trump, this morning, leaving the White House on his way to the alligator Alcatraz, was asked, tongue in cheek, are you going to deport Elon Musk? Here's what Trump said.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out.
Kind of messing with Ducey there. I want one of those Gulf of America hats. So he's joking around and he says, yeah, maybe we should deport Elon Musk. I don't think you can deport Elon Musk. But then he said, hey, Doge could be the monster that comes back and attacks the doctor who created him. That would be Elon Musk, because, Department of Government Efficiency, if it turns out that those mandates aren't so efficient, those subsidies that Musk companies get aren't efficient, maybe we should do away with them. So the war escalates a little bit further and a little bit further. Elon Musk saw that video and on his X platform replied, so tempting to escalate this, so tempting, but I will refrain for now. For now. I mean, last time Elon Musk escalated something, he suggested that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files. So Lord knows what he's hatching next. Here's the bottom line. If you're a Republican running for office or running for re-election right now, who do you want on your side? Or even better, who do you want to avoid being on your bad side, right? Are you scared of going up against some candidate that Elon Musk is going to fund? Or are you afraid of going up against a candidate that Donald Trump is going to recruit and campaign for? What's more enticing to you? Having a big fat check cut by Elon Musk or having a Donald Trump endorsement? It seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Politics isn't always just about money, I promise you. And if you get on the bad side of Donald Trump and he starts primarying you, well, just ask Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis decided he's going to vote no on the bill. Donald Trump puts out a Truth Social post saying it's time to primary this guy. And within an hour, Tom Tillis is announcing he will not be running for re-election. it seems clear that in the face-to-face, mano-a-mano UFC cage match between Musk and Trump, Trump ends up winning, at least for now. But that's just my speculation. It turns out Trump's got a secret weapon. He's got a secret weapon that Elon Musk does not have, nor will I think he will be able to get. CNN revealed what that secret weapon is. That secret weapon is you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to look at the strongly approved numbers. So this isn't just Republicans who like Donald Trump. This is Republicans who love Donald Trump. And he's up like a rocket. Look at this. In July 2017, the strongly approved was 53%. That's pretty good. But look at where he is now. 63% of Republicans strongly approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing about 5 months into his presidency. Republicans love Donald Trump the way that Americans love Disney World. The bottom line is 63%. That is a huge, huge base. And of course, it's just part of a Republican base in which about 90% of them overall approve of him, including the somewhat approves as well.
I mean, every politician would like this number here, especially to see it go up. How about compared to other presidents who were Republicans?
Yeah, it's history making. It's history making. What are we talking about here? So why don't we look back? We have all the presidents, Republican presidents going back over the last 35, 36, 37 years. What are we talking about? GOP, who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, 46%. Bush 43, 59. You see Trump, the first term, 53. But look at this, 63%. He beats all the other Republicans on the board here. And I was looking even back since Reagan. And get this, Donald Trump beats Ronald Reagan when it comes to the strongly approved 5 months. And of course, Reagan was coming off that high after that assassination attempt. So the bottom line is Donald Trump is making history with the Republican base. He is more beloved by this Republican base than any Republican base loved any GOP president 5 months in. It is history making.
It is a striking number. Tillis stepping down, stepping aside after President Trump threatened to primary him. The question is, how effective is Trump's endorsement? We know it can hurt, but how effective is it?
Yeah, okay. So, the bottom line is if you're a Republican lawmaker, you see this 63%, you say, my goodness gracious, you do not want to go against Donald Trump because the Republican base is with Donald Trump. And it's not just the polling. We actually have the data to show that the Republican base is with Donald Trump. The times Trump endorsees won the GOP primary for governor and congressional races. Look at this. 2024, 96%. 2022, 95%. 2020, 98%. The bottom line is this. 95% plus of the time, the Trump endorsed candidate wins in GOP primaries. And even in the cases where Donald Trump endorses a challenger to an incumbent, the majority of time, that challenger wins. So Donald Trump is a winner in Republican primaries. You go against Donald Trump, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go in the grinder. Donald Trump is the key nugget. His endorsement is the key nugget in a GOP primary because he's historically strongly popular with the GOP
And
base.
now there's going to be a surprise primary in North Carolina. So we will be watching that, of course. Harry Enton, it is always a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right.
I'm sorry, did he just make a Good Burger reference? A Good Burger reference? That Harry Enton. He's something else. There you go. That's the secret weapon. You're it. You're the secret weapon. That Donald Trump will continue to succeed on Capitol Hill and in any of these political showdowns with squishy Republicans, with Democrats, with people like Elon Musk, because he's got over 95% success rate right now with his endorsed candidates in primaries. So you remember the House right now. You're about to vote on this thing. And you're going to think maybe you're going to vote against it like Tom Massey. Tom Massey is probably going to vote against this in Kentucky. If Donald Trump has had enough with Tom Massey and Donald Trump decides to endorse another candidate against Tom Massey, based on that track record, Tom Massey is toast. But beyond that, he is the most popular Republican president in modern history 5 months into his presidency. Not even close compared to both Bushes and compared to himself 8 years ago, even compared to Ronald Reagan. That's the secret weapon. And in politics, that's kind of important. And in Washington, D.C., well, it's manna from heaven. Now, about Elon Musk and how the Trump's team and his cabinet are lining up to make sure that Elon Musk understands his role, his place, and whether he has anything legitimate to say about the one big, beautiful bill. We'll start with the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, earlier this morning.
Passes. What's your reaction? You guys famously tangled in the White House.
I admire Elon's leadership on rockets. I will take care of the finances.
I do love it when he's got his drop the mic moment. He likes to keep it short, succinct, to the point. Tell you what, I'll deal with the finances of the country. I'm the Treasury Secretary. You keep building rockets, pal. The problem here with the big, beautiful bill is that there's a lot of misinformation and confusion, and I understand that. Listen, for everybody who's upset that there's so much spending in this bill, I'm upset too. You know why there's so much spending in this bill? Because it's not a bill to tackle spending. It never was. This is a reconciliation package. The reconciliation package has to do with taxes and general budget issues. It doesn't have anything to do with regular order, going to the Appropriations Committee, going to the Budget Committee, going to Ways and Means, and actually hammering out what the budget's going to be coming up in the next fiscal year, which starts in 3 months. That process is happening right now. You want to cut spending, you want to revamp entitlements, you want to reimagine how the finances of the government works. You go into regular order and you do that. You don't do it on a reconciliation package. The whole point of this bill was to codify the president's tax cuts that he just ran on and he just promised and he just won on, codify those without the need for Democrat votes, and then put in place enough new reinforcements for border security, something else the president ran on, and mass deportations, something else the president ran on. Get that in now, and then you can go back and look at the other stuff. Suddenly, everybody thinks, oh, this is just a great big budget bill, and this is going to be the new fiscal year. No, we've only got 3 months left in the fiscal year. This is just to solidify the tax policy. That's it. I'm sorry that, and again, if you go back and watch this show from the beginning of the year, I was begging President Trump, I was begging members of the House and the Senate, stop calling this thing the one big, beautiful bill. I know you think it's cute. I know you think it's a punchline. It's a joke. People don't understand what that is. Call this thing what it is, a tax cut bill. We are delivering your tax cuts. People don't care if you vote against one big, beautiful bill because it makes it sound like it's some gargantuan, stupid, insane little ball of junk from Congress. But if you vote against a tax cut, people will get pissed about that. Call this a tax cut bill. Anyway, they don't listen to me. That said, the fact of the matter is, when you look at the details of what this tax cut bill does with regard to freeing up huge economic burdens that many people are dealing with right now with regard to taxes on overtime, taxes on tips, taxes on Social Security. Do you realize that the lion's share of the reduction in taxes go to the lower 80% of employees in this country? Those are people who live and die on tips and live and die on overtime. They're getting twice as much on a per rata basis in tax cuts than the top 20% in this country. And there's also fundamental changes in immigration and enforcement in this bill. Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff for the White House, he gets it. He knows what this bill really represents, and he is sick and tired of all the misrepresentations and all the lies about it. He's as sick and tired as I am. Here he was last night.
I've spent my entire life in the conservative movement. Since I was a kid in high school, working, dreaming of the day where we could have a piece of legislation like what exists right now, Sean, what President Trump has brought to the precipice of passage. Each and every one of the individual titles in this bill would be considered one of the great achievements in the history of the conservative movement. The title, for example, building the missile defense shield for the United States of America, Sean, so we can be safe, our children can be safe from foreign adversaries in this growing era of intercontinental ballistic missiles as nations race for supremacy. The section on this bill enshrining border and homeland security, this is the most far-reaching border security proposal, homeland security proposal in my lifetime. Sean, not just my lifetime, going back to Eisenhower, going back to since we've had conversations about the border, Sean. I take this seriously. I've stood by the families whose kids have been murdered by illegal aliens. We made them a promise. Most importantly, the American people voted to fulfill that promise in the last election. This bill fulfills it. It is the largest tax cut and reform in American history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, 100% expensing for new factories. Think about that. Every single business owner with a dream of manufacturing in America can deduct 100% of that cost to make the American dream come true here in the United States. Here's another one for you, Sean. The largest welfare reform in American history. Work requirements on food stamps, work requirements on Medicaid, the two largest welfare programs that exist. And now we are attaching work requirements to those programs. Orders of magnitude larger than the welfare reform that Republicans enacted into law in the 1990s. I am sick and tired of the lies about this bill that have been perpetrated by opportunists who are trying to make a name for themselves. This is the most conservative bill in my lifetime. Tax cuts, defense, border security, homeland security, welfare reform, and the largest spending cut in one bill that has ever been enacted. So, Sean, let's work together. Let's pass this bill. Let's get it to President Trump's desk by July 4th.
All right. Now, that appearance by Stephen Miller, fiery but peaceful one, I must say, it was happening while the vote-a-rama in the Senate took place. I just want you to know, in case you missed it in the middle of the night last night or toward the middle of the night, the Democrats went to the mat last night to make an amendment to this bill. There was one thing that they were just crossed the line. As far as they were concerned, this cannot stand. We will not allow this to happen. We've got to go to the mat on this thing. We're going to make sure we get a vote in the Senate on this. We want to save this thing. What was it? What were they so upset about? What were they willing to die on the Hill for? Funding for Planned Parenthood. That was the priority from Democrats last night. Funding for Planned Parenthood to make sure that killing babies was still something that your tax dollars would go to. It lost, thank God. The only other thing they were really intent on making sure happen is that illegal immigrants continue to get free health care out of the tax dollars you pay in your back pocket. That did, in fact, stay in the bill. Sadly, Republicans tried to remove benefits like free health care for illegal immigrants. What are we even talking about at this point? Free health care for illegal immigrants. That's what Democrats are most focused on, and Republicans were not able to defeat that amendment. The work requirements for Medicaid for various benefits. You keep hearing about this from the Democrats all the time, that all these people are going to get thrown off of Medicaid. Millions of people are going to lose their health care. No, they're not going to lose their health care. They're going to lose you paying for their doctor's appointments. They're going to lose you paying for their medical visits and their medical bills. And who are those people that are going to miss out on you paying for their bills? Well, we were hoping illegal immigrants, but that retains. We're going to have to wait for the next legislative session to get that done. But the other people are able-bodied young men, not married, without children, who are sitting on the sofa playing Xbox and refusing to even try to go out and get a job. But you got to pay for their Viagra pills. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma this weekend on CNN made it clear exactly why there should be not even a debate about these changes to the Medicaid program that I'm pretty sure you don't approve of in the first place.
Root inside a system that was designed for those that need it the most. I heard a while ago you talking about the work requirement. Okay, so what the work requirement does is requires an able-bodied individual with no dependents and no sickness to work, volunteer, or go to school 20 hours a week. And then the paperwork that you guys were talking about instead of having to prove your means once a year, it says you got to prove it every 6 months.
6 months.
Now,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is not a burden. That is just lazy if you're not willing to do that. And if you're not willing to work 20 hours a week or volunteer 20 hours a week or go to school 20 hours a week to try to better yourself, why is it up to the American taxpayer to pay for you not willing to help yourself?
Thank you very much. And I just want to reiterate, in case you missed it, Democrats they're throwing people off of Medicaid. They're throwing people out on the streets, sick people who will not be able to get their health care. It's a lie. It is 1,000% a lie. If you are disabled, if you are sick, if you are unable to work or fend for yourself, out of the kindness of our hearts, we will go ahead and pay for your medical bills. But if you are able to work, if you are not disabled, if you are not sick, all we are asking is that you work 20 hours a week. And I understand, oh, no, the economy is so bad, man. Oh, bullshit. There are jobs to be had. You don't want to work. There are absolutely jobs to be had out there. You know it. I know it. We see it all the time. There's help wanted signs everywhere. That's fine. You can't find a job to your liking, pal? Okay, volunteer at a church. Volunteer at screw it. Volunteer at the Gay and Lesbian Center downtown if you want. Volunteer at the Red Cross. That's all we're asking. Get up off your lazy butt and do something. Contribute. 20 hours a week. 4 hours a day for 5 days. And then fill in paperwork twice a year. That's all you got to do, and you'll get all your free health care that you want. Frankly, I think that's too good for you. But it is too much for Democrats. Absolutely, they think that's outrageous. They think it's draconian. They think you're a fascist for demanding such an arduous burden on people in exchange for us paying for all of your doctor's appointments and all your medical care and the aforementioned Viagra, maybe even Cialis. All right, we'll let Senator Mullen finish up here.
Medicaid was designed to help those in need when they needed it the most. And that's what we're trying to preserve Medicaid for. We're trying to make sure it's there for those in need.
I will say part of Senator Josh Hawley's concern, and he cited a woman who wrote to him. She explained that her husband works as a carpenter. Their private insurance covers her, 4 of her kids, but her 5th kid has a brain condition that is under Medicaid at this point. And to her, she's worried that she'll be one of the people that slips through the cracks. I hope you're right. I hope she is not one of those folks, but there is real concern about that. Before we go, because I know
Unbelievable. CNN, keep doing what you're doing. By the way, do you recognize that guy manning the anchor desk on the weekends at CNN now? You know who he is? He's the infamous fiery but mostly peaceful protest guy from the Summer of Love 2020. And of course, he gets promoted to the anchor desk. All right. What's the reality? What's the truth behind this bill? Because you keep hearing from people that it's a turd sandwich. You just heard from Stephen Miller about the great things in it. Let's let this guy have the final word, economist James Fishbach.
Why do you think Elon Musk is wrong about it?
Well, the big, beautiful bill is not merely a good bill. It's a great bill. You take President Trump's campaign promises. Think about it. Deliver tax relief for working families. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, delivering tax relief for seniors. That benefits hardworking Americans all over this country. That's in the big, beautiful bill. Increase in border security of $70 billion, a one-time increase to ensure that we have more detention center space, more ICE agents, a fully sealed border. The truth is that the illegal migrants that came into this country under President Biden, over 12 million, they're costing taxpayers about $150 billion a year.
But also CBO, speaking of money to taxpayers, says that this bill could increase it by like trillions. I mean, you have a number that's talking about if taxpayer money is an issue. Is that not a concern of yours?
Well, the interesting thing about the CBO survey, their forecast is that they don't take into account, one, the tariff revenue, which is going to be about $2 trillion over the next 10 years. Number two, they don't take into account...
If the tariff revenue stands,
Sure,
right?
But
That's
just,
an if, but go ahead.
There's a lot of ifs here.
Sure.
And the second one is If you secure the border and save taxpayers $150 billion a year, Trump has done that 99% reduction in border crossings since President Biden was thrown out of office. What ends up happening, Laura, is you save the taxpayer money in the process. The CBO has not put that in their model. And then finally, they assume that the Trump tax cuts, which everybody in DC, Republican and Democrat, would tell you were going to continue, they assumed they would expire, and therefore their model does not accurately reflect that. The truth of the matter is the CBO is not a nonpartisan organization, Laura. 8 out of 10 employees who work there are registered Democrats. We should be skeptical of the forecast for that reason, but also for the substantive reasons I just laid out.
The Republicans also have touted the CBO over time. Is it not a good organization or good entity at all if it doesn't support what you're saying?
No, what the CBO did 20 years ago, 30 years ago under President Clinton or President Bush is very different than the highly polarized environment that exists today. I think both you and I can agree with that. The truth of the matter is when there's gaping holes in their models and forecasts, when it comes to tariff revenue, when it comes to the actual net benefit of cutting out illegal labor and illegal immigration that actually saves the taxpayer money, the CBO model does not estimate that whatsoever. This is a good bill. It delivers on President Trump's promises, and it's a shame that because it doesn't have Elon Musk's electric vehicle subsidies, that he would oppose it.
All right. Well said there. And by the way, let's just reemphasize a couple of things that you just heard. Number one, it doesn't take into account tariff policy or the domestic manufacturing that will come as a result of the tariff policy. If, in fact, tariff revenue doesn't come in from imports, instead, it will be corporate taxes and personal income taxes from all the employees who will be working in the factories, just like the GE factory that was just announced in Kentucky. That's number one. Number two, shutting down the border has a twofold effect. Well, really a threefold effect on our budget. Number one, it costs a lot less money to maintain a secure border than it does a porous border because you're not dealing with the employees needed to maintain those ICE detention facilities that were overflowing, all of the Border Patrol agents that are just shuffling paperwork around for all of the illegal immigrants that have come into this country. Also, those illegal immigrants are no longer coming into this country, so they're not getting benefits. They're not getting the EBT cards that were getting handed out or the phones or all the other benefits that they were getting under Joe Biden. And also because of the mass deportations that are now in effect, people are self-deporting. 1 million so far have already self-deported. They're leaving. That means they're either getting out of our public school systems, which cost us money, they're getting off of the public dole, which cost us money, or they're leaving jobs that they were working at illegally that hopefully Americans will then take. If they get those jobs, that means they're no longer getting those unemployment benefits and other public dole benefits that they were getting. And in fact, they're making money and paying taxes back into the government. CBO doesn't do any dynamic scoring on any of these budget issues with regard to what I just laid out. And that's just the tip of the iceberg on this thing. Pass the damn bill and get those tax cuts back into the pockets of the American people. The only legitimate argument you're hearing from people right now on Capitol Hill who are concerned about the debt and deficits is that if they don't pass this bill, our debt goes down. We actually will start reducing our deficits and reducing our federal debt starting January 1st, 2026, if we don't pass this bill. And that is true. Again, we deal with facts here, and it is true. If they don't pass this bill, our debt will go down. Our deficit will go down next year. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because your taxes will go up. That's right. If they don't pass this bill, every single American gets an automatic tax increase. It's automatically triggered because the 2017 Trump tax cuts were set to expire on December 31st of this year. So yeah, it's true. If your greatest concern is the debt and our deficits, then not passing this bill will absolutely improve that picture. But the average family of four in America will pay about $1,700 more in taxes. See, they're leaving that part out, aren't they? They're leaving that part out.